What you're about to see is security footage from March 1st, 2014. This woman, Emily Lambert, 30 years old, walked into this bar alive. She walked out at 11:30 p.m. 3 minutes later, she was being beaten. 17 minutes after that, she was being dragged 500 feet by a rope around her neck. And here's the thing that will haunt you. Her boyfriend told police a completely different story. A story about a stranger. A story about a kidnapping. A story that would have gotten away with murder if one piece of forensic evidence hadn't proven he was lying. But it gets worse. Because the woman he murdered, she recorded her own final moments without even knowing it. Stay with us, because this is the investigation that solved itself, one lie at a time. On Sunday morning, Emily's mother got a call. "Emily is missing," the boyfriend said. "We went to the bar. She left with some guy in a white truck. I don't know where she went." The police arrived. They talked to Robert Early, 27, oil field worker. He seemed cooperative, seemed worried, seemed like the concerned boyfriend. He told them, "I met this guy at the bar. Big dude, cowboy hat. Told Emily he'd take her home. She got in his truck. I followed them, but he came at me with a pipe. It sounded plausible. A woman drinks, meets a stranger, leaves with him. It happens." The boyfriend tried to help, got scared when the guy got violent, ran. The police had no reason to doubt him, until they found 3 things that made his entire story collapse in less than 24 hours. But before we get to those 3 things, you need to understand why Emily trusted him in the first place. Emily Lambert taught 5th grade math in Dallas. Her students loved her. Colleagues said she was dedicated, present, the kind of person who actually cared. She had 2 daughters from a previous relationship, single motherhood, a full-time job, bills to pay, kids to raise. She was building something real, something stable. In November 2013, she met Robert on Facebook. They had mutual friends. There was chemistry. What sealed the deal? Robert was good with her kids. He'd show up. He'd play with them. He was patient. When your kids like someone your mom is dating, that matters. It changes the equation. By February 2014, they'd been together 8 months. Long distance, her in Dallas, him in Carlsbad, New Mexico. But it was working. Emily drove 8 hours to spend a weekend with him. February 28th, she called her mother Saturday evening. "Hey mom, I'm having a good time. Robert's being really sweet. Think I might be in love." Those were basically her last words to her family. Here's what matters about Emily. She wasn't reckless. She wasn't naive. She was a careful woman with a careful life. She had 2 kids depending on her. She didn't make impulsive decisions. She introduced Robert slowly to her daughters. She took her time. She was doing everything the advice columns tell you to do. And it still wasn't enough. That's why this case matters. Because Emily did everything right, and the system still failed her. Before we talk about what happened that night, there's something the police didn't know. When detectives interviewed Robert's ex-wife after Emily's disappearance, she said something revealing. B has a temper. Bad jealousy issues. He'd get mad if I even talked to other guys. His ex-girlfriend said the same thing. Possessive. He'd check my phone. He'd get angry at small things. But here's the thing. Emily's family didn't know this. The detectives didn't immediately investigate Robert's history. They took his statement at face value. Missing woman. Boyfriend says a stranger took her. Reasonable to believe. If someone had run a thorough background check on Robert Early before Emily went to Carlsbad, if her family had known about his violence with ex-partners, would she have gone to see him that weekend? We'll never know. But what we do know is this. Robert Early was a man with a documented history of jealousy and rage. A man who responded to perceived threats with aggression. A man who, on the night of February 28, 2014, was about to show exactly how dangerous he really was. The red flags were there. They just weren't connected until it was too late. Now let's talk about what happened inside that motel room. 6 p.m. Dinner at Roswell. Robert has 2 margaritas. Emily has 1. 7:30 p.m. Another restaurant. More alcohol. They're laughing. They seem fine. 9 p.m. Farley's bar inside the motel. This is where the night changes. Emily is sitting at the bar. Robert is next to her. They're playing pool. They're dancing. Everything seems normal. Then another man approaches Emily, talks to her, compliments her. This is standard bar behavior. Nothing serious, nothing threatening. But Robert is watching. 9:45 p.m. The man tells Emily, "If he's not taking care of you, I'll take you home." Emily laughs. She tells Robert what the guy said, maybe thinking it'll get a reaction, maybe wanting him to care. Robert's response, "Whatever, go ahead if you want." This matters. Emily wanted him to fight for her, to show he cared. Instead, he dismissed her, made it seem like he didn't care if she left. For a man already drinking, already feeling humiliated by a stranger, already struggling with jealousy, this is fuel. 11 p.m. Emily makes a decision. She's had enough. She tells Robert, "I'm leaving. I'm going back to Dallas. We're done." She's serious. She's getting her things. She's leaving tonight. Robert's response, "No, you're not." 11:10 p.m. Emily storms out of the bar. The security camera catches this moment. Her body language is unmistakable. She's angry. She's fast walking. Her eyes are focused straight ahead. She's not thinking about consequences. She's just leaving. 11:11 p.m. Robert doesn't follow immediately. He finishes his drink. He's thinking. 11:15 p.m. Robert leaves the bar. 11:31 p.m. Emily reaches their motel room. She's locked out. She goes to the front desk, gets another key, opens the door. She's alone. She's angry. She's gathering her belongings. And then Robert arrives. When Robert opens that motel room door, the argument escalates immediately. "I'm getting my shit. I'm leaving. We're done. It's over." Emily is moving. She's gathering her thing. She's determined. Robert corners her. "You're not leaving me." What happens next is what separates a moment of anger from deliberate violence. Emily grabs his arm and bites him. Hard. Blood. Shock. This is self-defense. This is a woman trying to escape. Robert early loses it. He grabs her. He throws her down. He begins kicking her with his steel-toed boots. Once, twice, 3 times. The guests in the neighboring room hear this. They'll later testify about the sounds yelling, crashing, the unmistakable sounds of someone being beaten. Emily gets back up. She's trying to leave. She's trying to survive. Robert kicks her again, this time in the face. The impact is so severe it causes immediate trauma. Blood. Broken bones. Concussion. Emily collapses. But here's where it gets darker. Here's where Robert's story about losing control in anger falls apart. Because he doesn't stop. He gets a rope. He places Emily's semi-conscious body in the car. He drives to an isolated field miles away. This isn't happening in a moment of rage. This is planned. This is deliberate. When they arrive at the field, Emily is still breathing. She's injured, but alive. This is crucial. The coroner will later determine this. Robert ties the rope around her neck, attaches the other end to the vehicle, and he drives. Emily's body is dragged across rocks and dirt for nearly 500 feet. For 3 to 4 minutes, this is happening. Her body is bouncing, scraping, tearing. The witnesses in the next motel room didn't hear this part. No one heard this part. The dragging stops. Emily's body stops moving. She should be dead, but the coroner will later determine she's not quite. Robert gets out of the car. He strikes her in the back of the head with a pump. Once, twice, hard enough to ensure she stops breathing. At 11:47 p.m., Emily Lambert is dead. Robert returns to the motel. He showers. He changes clothes. He gets rid of evidence. Then he calls Emily's mother. Emily's mother arrived at the Carlsbad police station on Sunday morning with Emily's 2 daughters in tow. Robert gave his statement. He maintained the story. Mysterious stranger, white truck, cowboy hat, pipe attack. The police took notes. He seemed credible. But then Detective Reaney noticed something. So Emily never came back to the room? No, Robert said. She never came back. But the guests next door had heard a violent argument in that room. They'd reported it. So the detective asked again, "Robert, did Emily come back to the room?" Robert changed his story. "Okay, yeah, she came back. We had an argument. She wanted to drive. I told her no. She left." Robert just admitted he lied to police. His first instinct was to deny Emily was even in the room. Why would an innocent person do that? The detective knew. He knew Robert was lying, but he needed proof. They brought in the polygraph machine. "Do you know where Emily Lambert is?" "No." The needle jumped. "Did you hurt Emily Lambert?" "No." The needle jumped again. Robert took the test. The results came back. He failed. Badly. On every question about Emily, when Robert saw the results, his response was, "There's got to be a mistake." He demanded a retest, but the detective had already made a decision. Robert Early was no longer a witness. He was a suspect, and the physical evidence was about to prove why. The detective made a phone call to the Walmart down the road. "Do you have security footage from last night?" "Yes," the manager said. "They had everything. Can you pull footage from 11:59 p.m.? The detective was about to find the white truck. And when he did, Robert's entire story would crumble. Detectives pulled every camera angle from the motel bar. They established a timeline. 9:30 p.m., Robert leaves the bar. 11:30 p.m., Emily leaves upset. 11:31 p.m., Robert is no longer visible. But they noticed something else. 3 men at the bar were intensely watching Robert. Their body language said something is wrong with this guy. One of those men was Gabriel Guy, Robert's employer. Gabriel had approached Emily at the bar. The footage was grainy but clear enough. Gabriel never leaves the bar with Emily. Gabriel stays the entire night. The mysterious stranger doesn't exist. At 11:59 p.m., exactly 30 minutes after Emily left the bar, a white truck pulled into the Walmart parking lot. But here's the problem. The footage was too dark. No license plate, no clear occupants. Dead end? No. Because the detective had another idea. Detectives convinced Robert to take them to where he claimed the abduction happened. He led them down a rural road. They told him to stay by the car. What they found? Drag marks. Long, unmistakable marks in the dirt. 500 feet of evidence that something or someone had been pulled across that ground. They followed the marks. Behind an old tin building, in an open field, Emily Lambert's body, covered in blood, beaten, dragged, murdered. Detectives processed the crime scene. They found the pump used to strike her. It had fingerprints. They belonged to Robert Early. It tested positive for Emily's blood. Robert was arrested in his motel room. Officers searched it. They found his jacket from that night. It was stained with Emily's blood. His shoes, Emily's blood. His pants, Emily's blood. DNA analysis confirmed it. No question, no doubt, the blood was Emily. Detectives reviewed Robert's phone records. During the crime, Robert had accidentally called Emily's phone. The call had recorded audio. For 6 seconds, before the line went dead, Emily's final moments were captured. The sounds of struggle, the sounds of terror, her last breath. On a recording, evidence of her final moments. Robert Early's defense would be, I lost control. It was a moment of anger. I didn't mean to kill her. The autopsy destroyed that defense. Finding one, she was alive during the dragging. The medical examiner found blood flow in the capillaries surrounding Emily's injuries. This means her heart was pumping while the rope tightened around her neck. She was conscious. She knew she was being dragged. She suffered for 3 to 4 minutes while this happened. Finding 2, the pattern of injuries. The kick injuries showed a specific pattern consistent with steel-toed boots striking her face and body repeatedly. The damage was severe. Multiple impacts. This wasn't one moment of losing control. This was sustained violence. Finding 3, the final blow. The injury that killed her was blunt force trauma to the back of her head. It was consistent with being struck by a pump with significant force. The coroner determined this blow was applied intentionally, after the dragging, to ensure death. Finding 4, the defensive wounds. Emily had scratches on her forearms and hands. She'd fought back. She'd clawed at her attacker. She was trying to survive. The scratches on Robert's arms matched Emily's fingernails. The coroner's photos showed this clearly. Self-defense requires that the person claiming self-defense believed they were in immediate danger and used reasonable force to escape. How is it self-defense when you beat someone unconscious, drag them 500 feet with a rope around their neck, and strike them in the head with a pump? That's not defense. That's execution. The trial took 3 days. The prosecution presented the evidence methodically. Timeline, footage, forensics, DNA, the recording of Emily's final moments. Robert's defense argued he didn't intend to kill her, that it escalated, that he panicked. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Verdict: guilty of first-degree kidnapping, guilty of murder. The judge ordered life in prison without parole. Robert Early will die in prison. He has been there for a decade. He will remain there until he dies. As the sentence was read, Emily's youngest daughter looked at Detective Rennie. Their eyes met. The detective had made a promise. I'm going to bring your mommy home. He did, but not how anyone hoped. The woman who left the bar angry, who was murdered by her boyfriend, who recorded her final moments without knowing it, Emily Lambert, is gone. And the man who took her from her daughters is locked away forever. But here's what haunts this case. It was preventable. If Robert's history of violence with ex-partners had been accessible, Emily's family might have known. If warning signs had been taken seriously, the escalation might have been stopped. If systems designed to protect had actually protected, this tragedy might not have happened. Emily Lambert was a 5th-grade math teacher. She was a mother. She was someone's daughter. She was someone worth saving. And she was someone who did everything right and died anyway. That's what keeps this case alive. Because it happened to someone like you, someone like me, someone who was careful, who was cautious, who was trying to build something real, and it wasn't enough. What do you think? Should warning signs have stopped this? Comment below. If you know someone in a controlling relationship, send them this video, like it, subscribe, and let them know they're not alone in recognizing the danger signs.